Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes.
You clicked over before you went live. We're late.
Late.
By 2 seconds.
Yep.
Well, sorry, screwed it up. That's the show for tonight. I'm shutting down. I'm going to bed.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Aww.
Now, today is Fresh Tomato Day. So as a special guest, we have a tomato.
Yay.
Okay.
Now, Mage, I have heard rumors that tomatoes can be grown in a garden. You know anything about that?
Maybe a thing or two. I would definitely recommend growing your tomatoes if you want fresh tomatoes, seeing as you're probably not getting fresh tomatoes from the grocery store. And the ones that you're getting from the grocery store are grown for your shelf life, not taste.
Yep, that's for sure. I have noticed that most of them don't taste like anything anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like this type of garden?
Well, most of the tomatoes you buy in the grocery store are from a hothouse. And like Mage says, that, you know, they're just trying to make ones that will remain fresh on the shelf in the store for as long as possible and look bright red.
True.
So they don't really care about the taste anymore.
Yeah,
And I'm not even convinced that they've got the vitamins in them anymore.
Yeah, I don't even like the taste of store-bought tomatoes. I like the ones I grow myself.
Yep.
And that's for the question in the topic in the DMs. No, ketchup is not a smoothie.
Yeah, ketchup is not a smoothie. No.
It is a sauce, since the fruit is cooked.
Yep, it's technically a sauce. Yeah.
Okay.
I knew a guy who used to take a straw and put it in a bottle of ketchup and drink it.
Oh,
So
no.
that's a smoothie to him.
I guess so, but not to any sane person.
You can make tomato smoothies though, because they actually do have quite a bit of sweetness to them. If you prepare it right, it's actually pretty decent.
Yeah, technically you could.
Yeah, well, I guess. I mean, you know, people do drink tomato juice, so.
Yeah. If what you do is you juice it, then you pour it over crushed ice, then you blend it a little bit, add some sugar, salt, pepper, whatever you want to add to it.
Yeah.
And there you go. Right, tomato smoothie.
Well, I do like ketchup, but I have never been a fan of tomato juice. I don't know, just drinking a glass of tomato juice just never went down well with me.
Yeah, me neither.
It depends on the brand as well as how it's prepared and a lot of other factors. They put way too much sugar in it in the United States. If you buy it overseas, where they don't have any sugar or salt added to it, it's actually pretty good.
Might have to try that with my own tomatoes sometime.
Yeah, tomato juice without the actual, added. They add a lot of shit to it. Like they add a lot of sugar, they add a lot of salt, and and a little bit of vinegar as well.
I don't know. I thought the only benefit to drinking tomato juice is it was one drink you could actually put salt in.
Well, it already comes with a lot of salt. It has a very high sodium content to it.
Yeah, I don't know why. I have these hideous salt cravings that some nights I sit here and I feel like eating a 10-pound salt lick.
Estrogen will do that, sweetie.
No, this was happening before I even started on the hormones.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
You're one of those people that eats a bag of ramen noodles and adds salt to a day.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I can never get enough salt. And weirdly enough, it has not had any weird things, any effects on my health in general. My blood pressure has remained stable for 40 years.
I've seen somebody who pretty much eats sugar that way and seems to be perfectly healthy.
Yeah, I just, again, it's one of those things, it's like, I should have high blood pressure, but I don't.
Well, it's not the sugar that's bad for you, really. It's corn syrup. It's a specific type of sugar. Cane sugar is actually pretty good for you, but corn syrup is terrible for you, and that's the type of sugar most places use in food is corn syrup.
Yeah.
I'm allergic to sugar cane. I can't have cane sugar. I can have beet sugar. I can't have cane sugar.
What about honey?
Honey is really good for you, and honey never goes bad.
Hmm?
It never goes bad. Honey has no expiration date.
Yeah, it's just got natural preservatives to it.
Yep.
That depends on how many flies get stuck in it.
Yeah. Oh,
No.
and the reason why the tomatoes are shipped as a vegetable is lowers the cost for shipping.
Yep. Yep. Well, that and because
Sam, you were fine. Okay.
that and because they're mostly treated as a vegetable whenever it comes to how they're prepared. So yeah. Like
Another-
Okay, maybe that's the problem with the tomato juice. I haven't been adding enough vodka.
Another thing you might not know is that the leaves of the tomato plant are edible. While they do contain the same toxins that you'd find in like a potato, being the same family and all that,
nightshade.
the amounts are actually much lower. So you'd have to eat like quite a lot to actually get the toxicity levels high enough
Really?
to affect you.
But the vines are very toxic.
I
the
thought
vine
that the
itself.
leaves were toxic. I thought that was not a good idea to eat the leaves.
They
Like I
are.
said, they do have some level of toxicity, but it's so low that you'd have to eat quite a lot of it to actually have an effect on you. Sort of like lettuce.
Yeah. Well, they
When
are
the tomato was first
nightshade.
brought to Europe, it was said to be toxic or poisonous, and nobody would eat them at all.
Well, that's because
people did think that at one point.
that's because they would often use pewter silverware as well as pewter plates. It would the lead off of it and cause lead poisoning. The tomatoes would actually literally leach the lead off the plates and off the silverware, and they would be ingesting pure lead at that point. And because it would just absorb into the tomato itself.
Well, that'd do it.
I was actually guessing that it was because some people are allergic to tomatoes. So if they saw
Not
somebody
really.
go into anaphylactic shock, that would make them think it was poison.
Yeah, mine and Sumi's friend Tia is allergic to tomatoes.
Yeah,
I like V8. It's the nectar of gods.
V8 is awesome, except for all the salt they add to it.
I tend
Go
to
on.
like their fruit juice more than the tomato juice they have.
See, their fruit juice is all sugar.
Yeah.
But V8 is actually very, very good because it has all the different veggies in it.
Yeah, but it has a lot of salt. I don't like all
So
that
what?
salt.
Well, they do have a low sodium variety. I don't know how much the salt is reduced.
Well, see, the problem is they use the salt for a preservative. So, yes.
Okay, if you eat 10,000 bananas in 10 minutes, you'll die of radiation poisoning.
Yeah, just like if you smoke around, I believe it's 2 tons of marijuana in 10 minutes, it'll kill you.
Yep.
But you have to smoke about an entire house's worth of bud in order to do that in about 10 minutes.
Flying on an international flight exposes you to about the same amount of radiation as 400 bananas.
Yep. That is to say very little.
Yep. This actually is a measurement that scientists use, the banana equivalent unit, for how much radiation something is giving off, because the potassium, all bananas are slowly giving off a very low level radiation.
Did you know that tomatoes, bell peppers, potatoes, eggplants, there was another one. They're actually a natural source of nicotine as well. So if you're trying to quit smoking, a tomato diet is actually pretty good for you.
They're pretty much all in the same family as well.
Yeah,
I had
nightshade,
heard that tomato
nightshade.
leaves had some nicotine in them.
Well, not just the leaves, the fruit themselves.
Really?
In fact, the tomato is the one with the highest amount of nicotine in it.
Nicotine it kills tomatoes.
Yep. So it has
Go
It's not
smoke a
on.
cigarette and then handle it with your hands, and you'll kill it just as well.
Yep. So don't smoke around tomato plants. You'll kill it.
I know that on some plants they use nicotine as a pesticide.
They do. They do. But they can't do that on tomatoes because, yeah. Potatoes as well. Eggplants, nicotine kills as well. There's
So,
a
Mace,
lot of,
how do you prepare tomato leaves for eating?
that I don't know. I know a lot about tomatoes, but that I don't know because I don't eat.
You can cook it or
Leaves.
eat it raw.
I don't eat tomato leaves, so I don't know. Like I'm being put on the spot here.
Yeah,
I'll eat dandelion leaves. You have to get them before the flowers bud, otherwise they turn bitter. But if you get them early, they're just like spinach.
Oh, and
And that's
also
how I usually eat them. Is I just steam them with a little vinaigrette dressing.
you can make catnip tea, which is actually pretty good and pretty soothing and very relaxing. But do not smoke catnip; it can get you really sick and actually can kill you if you smoke too much of it.
Every woman I've lived with has sworn by catnip tea for reducing menstrual cramps.
Yeah.
Two
Yeah.
of them I introduced them to it because they didn't know about it.
Catnip tea is actually really good for that. Yeah. But it's just generally pretty relaxing. Rosehip tea is actually really good for prostate.
I
Prostate
sometimes use
cancer.
peppermint tea for minor stomach upset. It helps soothe the tummy.
It does. It does. Yeah, peppermint tea is good for soothing the stomach, especially
I
with
ju-
some honey.
Mm.
Oh my god, honey.
I usually find the small sips of root beer tends to help with an upset stomach for me.
I
And
always
also,
go for the ginger ale.
yeah, that would work too. I also find peanut butter on toast helps as well for me.
Well, the root beer thing is because root beer is derived from sarsaparilla. So sarsaparilla soda is actually really good for the stomach. The
Yeah.
sarsaparilla, the plant itself is actually really good for stomach aches.
Yeah, that's probably it.
I also go with the ginger ale. It's something I always
Ginger
keep on hand.
Well, ginger ale's easy as hell to find, so pretty much
Although
every
finding
grocery
good
store has
ginger
it.
ale these days is difficult.
Canada Dry is pretty good. I like Canada Dry.
Yeah.
The Cock and Bull brand ginger beer is pretty good.
I'll tell you one butterbeer. I love butterbeer.
Mm.
It's not actually butterbeer. It's what was the name of it? Fuck. It was I'm gonna have to look it up. I can't remember right now just the name of it, but it's something I cannot find nowadays.
Yeah, the Stewart's ginger beer was one I liked. That's another brand I can't find around here.
Yeah, Stewart's is good.
I also like their cream soda.
Yeah. I like their orange
What
soda.
was the name of the butterbeer?
Yeah.
Flying Cauldron butterscotch beer.
Oh, yeah, I love that one.
I cannot
never
find
tried
it
that.
where I live. I cannot find it where I live, but
It's
a
hard.
lot-
It can be hard to find. Yeah.
when I was in Florida, it was easy as hell to find. Every place had it, but here in South Carolina, they don't have it.
It varies. I can sometimes find it, sometimes not find it. I'm in Florida, so it does.
Well,
It can be difficult to find at times.
I know they're in every Publix.
Now they are. They used to not be though.
The Shasta cream soda used to be pretty good too, and I haven't seen
And-
that stuff in like 7 or 8 years now.
And the butterscotch beer is really good for stomach aches. It's
Hmm.
really fucking good for stomach aches.
Super sweet too, if you're into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very sweet. Tastes like butter. It literally tastes like butterscotch. It's like a butterscotch creamy
Yeah.
soda.
Yeah, it's butterscotch soda basically. I've had it before. It's really good. It's expensive though.
Yeah, it's expensive. It was like what, $8 for 4 bottles.
More than that now.
Sloth Girl, the world's largest? Really? Is that the pop shop you're talking about, or? I remember as a kid when the Shasta used to come in the flats of loose cans, so you could go and mix together and make your own queso out of whatever varieties you wanted.
Fun thing you can do with tomatoes and potatoes is you can actually graft them together.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you have the roots growing in potatoes and you have the top growing in tomatoes.
Oh, you
Yep.
can get them both off of the same plant then.
Yeah, it'll reduce
Yeah.
the yield of potatoes you get, but you can do it.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird.
Yep.
Well, but yeah, if you've got a small garden plot, though, it might be a better way to go.
Sloth Girl, what is the world's largest soda shop?
Oh, I just saw the shop.
Well, I know there's a chain called the Pop Shop. I think that's the one that she's referring to, but I'm not sure.
Never heard of it.
Blue Sun Soda Shop. Never heard of it.
Oh, no, wasn't the one I was thinking of. Blue Sun Soda Shop.
Never heard of that either.
I wonder where the closest one is to us.
And what would happen if the sun did turn blue? What does that mean?
It would mean that needs to get laid really bad.
It would mean that Superman wouldn't have his powers anymore.
Oh, yeah, that too.
No, he'd be okay under a blue sun.
No, under a blue sun, Superman actually loses all his powers. He's like a normal human at that point.
That's
Yeah.
red sun.
No, is it a red sun?
That's a red sun.
What was the blue
I
sun?
thought it was only supposed to be under a yellow sun that he had his powers.
Oh, there's other
No.
colors.
There's other colors, yeah.
Blue sun. Superman twice as fast and makes him twice as strong. So he actually gets stronger
that's
under
right.
blue sun.
That's right. Oh, and like supervision as well. He also got supervision as well.
Supervision as opposed to X-ray vision?
Yeah. Oh, he can see through everything.
Is
with
supervised?
Wait,
Because-
it takes away his limitations of seeing through lead or something?
Yeah, he can see through lead with under a blue sun.
Yeah.
He can see through everything. Even down to the molecular level, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, you already had that. Yeah.
But yeah, the only reason he could beat Flash was under a blue sun. That's the only way he actually was able to beat Flash in a running in a race.
Wouldn't
Sun
it be
don't
awfully
listen.
hard to sleep if you see through your own eyelids?
Yes, it would. You got a point there.
No, I imagine, if I remember correctly, the Invisible Man was dealing with that issue.
Oh yeah, Hollow Man dealt with that issue as well. I remember you remember Invisible Man, the TV series with Guy Fawkes, I think his name. I can't know. It was Fawkes something. Last name was Fox. I can't remember his first name right now.
I think I remember. Yeah, I think
he was injected with the Quicksilver and becomes a secret agent.
Michael J. Fox?
Worked with a bald man.
Yeah, I think I remember a TV series on it. I just
Yeah, that was
don't
only
remember.
it only lasted 2 seasons.
Yeah, I don't remember it too well
Yeah.
though.
Well, it was back in the 90s, or it was either 90s or early 2000s. Really
Yeah,
good show. It's a really good show. I liked it. I loved
Yeah, that is
it.
that is the one I'm thinking about. I just can't. It's just a vague memory though.
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up on IMDb, 2000 to 2002.
Yeah, like I said, late 90s, early 2000s. It was really good. I fucking love that show. It was one of my favorites from the Sci-Fi Channel. It was either Sci-Fi or UPN. I can't
Darren
remember.
Fox was the lead.
Darren Fox. That's it. Darren Fox. Yeah. Because his partner was this bald dude that had this. Yeah.
Yep. Robert Albert Hobbs. Is the
Hobbs.
bald guy.
Hobbs. Yeah, Hobbs. It has been so long since I've seen that. I've got it on DVD, but I haven't watched it in a while. I should really watch it again.
I vaguely remember it. I don't
That
remember
and
much more
Sliders.
than that it was on, really.
That
Sliders was good.
That and Sliders were two of my favorite shows back then. And
Sliders
then
got a raw deal.
yeah,
Yeah.
they did. Only 7 seasons though. I mean, they got 7 seasons out of it.
Yeah, but it kept getting like canceled and renewed and canceled, so it was like very inconsistent, and they kept switching the times and everything.
Yeah, well, that was because they kept on getting shitty times.
So the same thing they did to Firefly.
Kinda,
Same thing-
yeah.
Same thing they did to Wonder Falls, which only got 2 seasons until they got canceled, and then
Yeah.
there was True Calling, which only got 2 seasons before it got canceled because it was on the same time as Smallville. That's the only reason True Calling got canceled, because it had the same fucking time slot as Smallville.
I never actually watched Smallville.
I watched a little bit of it, but most of the time it was True Calling because like it was one or the other. And I was like, I prefer True Calling because it had Elijah Dushku in it. Elijah Dushku being one of my favorite characters from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I watched almost every episode of Smallville.
That and the fact that it's funny because Elijah Dushku is a Mormon, yet she's the most un-Mormon person I've ever met. It's just, like, seriously.
I never watched Smallville because I was never really a fan of any of the DC heroes to begin with. So
Well,
I like
Superman
huge
was
DC
the original superhero.
No, Batman. Batman was the original.
actually, I thought
Detective
Superman was
Comics.
before Batman.
Detective Comics. It was a little bit before, but it wasn't. He wasn't Batman at that point. It was.
Yeah.
It's a little bit. It's a little bit weird in that area because Detective Comics came out prior to Superman, but it wasn't the same Batman as it is now. If that makes any sense.
Well, the character was still Bruce Wayne.
The character was still Bruce Wayne, but it wasn't the same type of Batman.
Mm.
Because that Batman had no problems killing people.
Yeah,
Up until the Joker. Up until the Joker, he killed every single one of his enemies.
They've been a bit inconsistent with how they handled him. There was an interesting discussion I watched on that basically
And
like.
then,
well, I heard that Marvel is coming out with a new superhero to work with the times, to be part of the current mood and behavior of society today, and it's going to be a Panty Boy.
I thought the really funny thing about Batman, though,
he has the impervious underwear, and
oh gosh,
Actually, there was an episode of Warehouse 13 that had that.
Warehouse 13 was great. I love Warehouse 13.
It was great up until that episode with the magic underwear. That's where they lost me.
I like.
I think it was actually Mormon underwear that they did that with. It was the underwear of that Mormon oh god, what was his name? Brigham Young, I think.
Yeah.
It was Brigham Young's underwear. Yeah, it was Brigham Young's underwear, I believe. I'm not entirely 100 on that, but I'm pretty sure it was Brigham
but they
Young's.
made it be literally magic underwear that, among other things, it made the guy invisible.
Yeah.
Well, for the whole Batman thing, and the conclusion they came up with was Batman doesn't kill with guns. He uses guns. He's killed, but he doesn't kill with guns.
But no, the funny thing is, though, the whole Batman thing, the only reason he didn't kill the Joker, which he did originally kill the Joker, but the Joker came back because the fans were so pissed off that he killed the Joker that they brought the Joker back because it was like a fan favorite, basically. Joker actually ended up being like the top villain that fans loved a lot for some reason.
Based on the man who laughed.
Yeah. And then there's the Bat Who Laughs. Oh god, it's the Bat Who Laughs. Would not want to meet him in a dark alley. Bat Who Laughs is, oh god, that actually scared me when I first read that. And it wasn't that, it was only like 5 years ago that I read it. But it's creepy as fuck. The Batman Who Laughs is just creepy as fuck. I mean, just basically the story of the Batman Who Laughs is the Joker was raising different children. Well, grooming. He was literally grooming children.
Yeah.
Oddly
Yep.
enough, he was grooming children using the laughing gas, and then Batman killed the Joker after the Joker hit him with the same laughing gas, causing him to go insane. He took all the kids as his crows after killing the Joker. So instead of robins, he had crows.
Yeah.
A bunch of little insane children that will rip your fucking face off.
What happened? What happened to Robin? Like none of the Batman films have
Which
have
one?
ever had Robin in them. So what
Which
happened
one?
to Robin?
Which one?
I don't know. It's just
Because
Yeah, there were
okay,
like 3 different Robins. One of them became Nightwing.
the first one died. Drake. No, not Drake. Yeah, no.
Tim Drake became Nightwing.
Tim Drake became Nightwing. The second one was Tim something. He died, but then came back to life due to the Lazarus Pit and became the Red Hood.
Yeah.
And then Jason Todd. No, that was Jason Todd.
That was
Jason Todd's Red Hood. Jason Todd's the Red Hood. And then there was Damian Wayne, who is Batman's son, which is the current Robin. And then there was Batgirl, of course, who lost her, who the Joker bashed her fucking legs in and caused her to become the Oracle.
I always question Batman and Robin's relationship.
And then there's White Knight, the story with White Knight. If you don't know what the White Knight is, basically Batman shoves a bunch of antipsychotics down the Joker's throat, causes him to become sane again, and the Joker sues Bruce Wayne to oblivion.
Okay. Well, no, it was Dick Grayson who became Nightwing, and then you have Tim Drake, and Jason Todd.
Yeah.
Jason Todd was Red Hood after he got exposed
Yeah,
to the
and
Lazarus
Jason Todd
Pit.
became Red Hood.
Yeah, Jason Todd died, then became then got dunked in the Lazarus Pit due to what's her name? Tasha Al Ghul.
Yeah.
Raish's daughter was in love with Jason Todd, so she put him in the Lazarus Pit to resurrect him. He got pissed off at her because he just wanted to fucking die, and so left her and became the Red Hood.
I can just hear Jenny falling asleep us talking about comic book characters.
Well, you're in the DC universe, so I can't say anything more either.
I'm a huge DC fan, so
I probably know more about Marvel than I do DC.
Yeah.
but-
Actually, I haven't really even followed the Marvel characters since the 90s, so...
if you want anything fun to read concerning DC, read Larfleeze. It's fucking hilarious. It's about the Orange Lantern, and
Oh, okay.
yeah,
no.
Larfleeze is fucking hilarious. It's like a 3-comic spinoff story just about Larfleeze, and he has like 8 different origin stories he tells. Each of them kind of similar, but distinctly different. It's like you can't trust anything Larfleeze says because everything Larfleeze says is a lie. You kind of get that in the story.
Now, see, I had thought of doing that for a superhero story. Of just, having this guy that has a half dozen different origin stories, and one of them is true, but nobody knows which one.
Yeah.
And I came up with character.
That's the case with Larfleeze. That's pretty much the case with Larfleeze. One of them is kind of true, probably. Maybe.
Yeah, I came up with character that's always telling a different story for his origin and age.
Well, the Joker does that as well.
Yeah, true.
But-
I do like him being ambiguous as to what his actual origins are.
But there's 3 different Jokers. Because remember whenever Batman hooked himself up to the Mobius chair, he asked who the Joker was, and the Mobius chair answered which one. The Mobius chair being a chair that's connected to all time and space that allows the user to see any question that they get, to have any question they ask answered truthfully.
Though, was it asking which one for which reality, though?
No, which one in that reality? because it states there were 3 Jokers.
Hmm.
One of them was actually the guy that shot his parents. The first Joker was the one that shot his parents.
Hey, Titan.
Really?
Yeah, the first Joker was literally the guy that shot his parents.
Hey, Commander.
What was his name?
I can't remember right now, but I can
Look that up.
Okay, maybe we should get away from the comic books and find something that more people know something about.
Joe Chill. That was it.
Joe Chill. Yeah, it was Joe Chill.
All right. Want to switch topics to
Joe
go off
Chill?
comic?
We
Joe
could
Chill.
talk about toast.
I like toast.
Toast goes well with tomatoes.
Yeah.
Take tomatoes, mozzarella, melt the mozzarella into the tomato.
What happened in America? 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you'd go into a restaurant, you'd order, breakfast and a couple of eggs and bacon and some toast, and the toast would come out and it would like be toasty brown. And nowadays, no matter where you go, it seems for breakfast, you order toast and it comes back warm bread.
Warm bread.
Yeah, you have to order your toast special extra dark to get any kind of brown on it.
I can't remember the last time I had toast in a restaurant.
Can't say I've noticed, but yeah.
With breakfast, I always go with hash browns if that's an option.
I remember one time in a restaurant, the waitress asked my dad, "You want super salad?" And he's like, "No, I'll just take a regular salad." Waitress is like, "What? He's like, yeah, I don't want a super salad. I'll just take a regular salad."
I'll take the super salad.
Soup or salad.
I'll take the super salad. There are times I have lived for weeks at a time on nothing but chef salad.
Yeah, me too. There was times whenever I just ate nothing but salad when I was working at the schoolhouse. Because they served all kinds of, really, really, really salty stuff. I don't like. That's the thing with me. I don't like a lot of salt in my diet.
Well, I like the Western dressing, but for the 5 years I lived in New York, there was not a single grocery store in the state that carried Western dressing. I even contacted the company, and they confirmed that there was no one in the state selling the product.
Yeah,
3 months before I moved back to Minnesota, the grocery store by us starts carrying it. I was having my aunt send the stuff in from Michigan for me.
The only
do they sell it in Minnesota though?
Oh yeah, you can find it all over here.
Okay, that's good.
The only thing I really add salt to is a grilled cheese sandwich, and I actually use mayonnaise to brown the toast it instead of butter. It gets a nice golden brown on it.
Yeah, actually, Sloth Girl sent me the first shipment of it, and then my Aunt Faye was sending it to me.
I don't like mayonnaise.
No, I don't like mayonnaise either. I'll use Miracle Whip on sandwiches. I don't like mayonnaise.
I don't like Miracle Whip either.
Isn't Miracle Whip sort of like whipped cream?
No.
No, okay.
Miracle Whip is mayonnaise. Miracle Whip's mayo. It's the same thing. Miracle Whip just uses Miracle Whip just you know why it's called Miracle Whip, right?
No.
It's the name of the machine. It's literally the name of the machine. It's how they make it. It's the Miracle Whip. It just whips up the eggs and vinegar to a point where it's nice and fluffy and yeah.
I don't think Miracle Whip actually has real eggs in it. I'm not sure what's in it offhand, but
then I don't think they'd be allowed to call it mayonnaise if it didn't have any eggs in it.
Well, that's why it's called Miracle Whip. They don't call it mayonnaise.
Yeah, but it's the same.
That's why it's called salad dressing.
Yeah. And did you know, talking about bread and everything, in every place but the U.S., Subway cannot call their sandwiches.
Right, too much sugar.
Too much sugar. They have to label it as cake. They label the bread as cake in every other country. At least when it comes to like tax purposes and as well as other reasons. Because the sugar content is so high in it.
Europe is, in general, is very strict with what you can and can't call various foods. That if you're going to call it this or that, it has to follow the recipe for this or that.
There was this one company. There was one company that got sued because they had "made with love" written on the label, and they got sued for that by the government because they said that you cannot list any ingredient that is not actually inside.
For fuck's sake!
Seriously, I'm not joking. I'm not making that up.
The labeling laws, though, were one of the things that started triggering off the whole Brexit thing.
Yeah.
Among other things, the EU said that the British couldn't label their traditional sausage as being sausage. It didn't fit the definition.
Yeah. The labeling laws are just hilarious because, like I said, they got sued by the U.S. government because they had "made with love" written on the container.
Well, that's not saying that there's love in it. That's saying it's made with love. It's a different story there.
But still, they said that you can't have "made with love" written on it because that is counted as an ingredient, and love cannot be an ingredient.
I don't believe you. Show me the receipts on that.
Hold a second.
That would be a weird one, but I still think it's plausible.
Well, the reason I question it is because look, this government lets people call almond milk. And it's nothing to do with milk.
Well, the U.S. does. In Europe, they probably can't get away with it.
There we go, right there.
Almond water. I've actually made almond milk before. It's quite easy to make.
Right there. Massachusetts
I think they do call it. No, I'm not sure.
After Brexit, the UK had to copy and paste all the EU regulations into UK law, but now they no longer have any say in the regulations they have to abide by.
I put a link in the private chat, by the way.
By the way, just a little side note, like there's no European laws, like there's of course some laws that the European Union, that countries who are in the European Union needs to follow, but yeah, that not all European countries are in the European Union. And it doesn't apply to everything. We're still individual countries with our own laws.
Well, it says here, a Massachusetts bakery's granola may be made with love, but federal officials say it shouldn't be listed as an ingredient on the package. Nashoba Brook Bakery in Concord was taken to task by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for listing love as an ingredient on their granola label. In a letter posted this week on the FDA website, the agency said federal regulations require that ingredients must be listed by their common or usual name. Love is not a common or usual name of an ingredient. It's considered to be intervening material because it's not part of the common or usual name of the ingredient the FDA wrote. So they had an entire thing where they just said, oh, you can't list love as an ingredient because it's not a common ingredient.
Made with love is not an ingredient. It's a description. It's a description of operation. Period. It's it's not an ingredient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Titan has a good point. The Brits eat beans on toast for breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I eat those too. Sorry, Titan.
Okay, I've tried it. Yeah. Just not
I shouldn't judge. My country has jam with meat, or like meat with jam. It's lingonberry jam, and it's not sweet. Like it's very. Oh, what's the word? I mean, it's not sweet. At least it's more. So that it goes with meat. So yeah.
Umami flavor.
Then again, Japan
What?
has
What did you say, mate?
Umami flavor.
Umami.
No. Like maybe bitter or like something like that. Or
there's
yeah, it's a taste that fits better with meat at least than I usually
And-
am.
There's something in Japan that I actually enjoy quite a bit is buns with red bean paste.
What with paste?
Buns with red bean
Oh.
paste. Yeah, a bun, like a little cake.
Yeah.
Red bean paste, is that like refried beans?
No. It's nothing like that. It's a very sweet type. I can't remember the type of bean that they use, but it's very sweet, almost raspberry-like, but not quite raspberry. It's a little bit difficult to place the actual taste of it, but it's really, really sweet, but it's really, really viscous.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ever find it, you can find it in Asian markets. They usually sell them. It's a bun with red bean paste.
I'd never heard of that.
It's really good Japanese. It's a really good Japanese snack.
I don't know if it's like true in all of Sweden, but at least in Stockholm, grocery stores usually have a shelf, sometimes 2 shelves, of just like, yeah, I guess you could call it exotic food, like it is like usually
Uncle.
Asian. What?
Anko. Azuki beans. They're made from azuki beans. Anko.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
Yeah, like with food that like from Asia or the Middle East or like various places, and like it can be fun to look there and like see see what other cultures eat. But like I almost never know what to do with anything of it. I haven't bought anything, but have to be a little curious. It's fun that it's there.
Yeah. Titan says the only acceptable breakfast is 6 cups of black coffee with
Too much sugar.
too much sugar in it. And
Here's
no,
your-
I never had taste for coffee. I just can't take the stuff.
I love coffee.
I only
like
started
coffee.
developing a taste for it in my 30s.
I've loved coffee since I was like 10 years old. Yeah, my parents allowed me to drink coffee when I was a kid.
I don't know. It may be something to do with the way my dad made coffee when I was 10. That maybe that's why I never liked it.
Well, Mom always put a lot, and I mean a lot of creamer in mine with a lot of sugar.
I put about 3 ounces of creamer in mine.
Well, my dad had one of the old electric percolators, but he didn't dump the coffee grounds out. Just every morning he put a fresh scoop on top of the grounds already in there, and he only dumped the grounds out about once a week.
Yeah,
Ooh.
that sounds about right.
When I was in college and super poor, I would do that as well. It's how you save money when you're
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he got used to doing that in the army, and he could never get away from it.
Wouldn't
Well-
the old stuff start getting moldy?
After about a month, yeah.
Yeah. No,
It takes a long time for coffee to mold, unless it's in a
it
lot
doesn't
of
take that long.
Not that long.
If it's sitting out at room temperature and it's
Oh,
damp, it
room
gets moldy
temperature,
in
yeah.
a couple of days. But
Well, yeah.
it didn't matter. He figured the hot water was going to kill it anyway. So
Yeah, I save my old coffee grounds and put them in my compost. So yeah, they mold up pretty quick.
But coffee grounds is actually really good in compost too. Yeah, that is a good idea. Composting them.
one of my great uncles, that's how he met his wife. That he was actually a guard at the Berlin Wall, and she would sneak across from the other side to get the coffee grounds from the soldiers, because the soldiers used coffee grounds was still better than anything they could get over there.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting.
I suppose if it was like next day, it wouldn't be that bad, but well, probably would still not taste quite right. But
Yeah, but if she got it from the soldiers' mess, she'd get like several pounds of it at once, and it was a good item that she could trade for food over there.
You can actually dry out coffee grounds and reuse them. You can
It'll have-
dehydrate it. You can dehydrate them and reuse them.
It will have lot less caffeine in it, though.
Less caffeine in it, and it has a lighter flavor to it. But if you're using a really dark blend, it's actually really good. I've done it before. But yeah, you're right. It does have less caffeine in it, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper than just throwing it away. When you're trying to save money, you'll do a lot of weird shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
My mom used to wash off paper plates, and would get pissed off if we used knives on a paper plate because you can't really fix a paper
Yeah.
plate that has the knife marks on it. You have to throw it away. So we would have a dishwasher full with paper plates in it, well, styrofoam plates in it.
My grandmother did that with Ziploc bags.
Yep. My aunt did too.
I'll do that with Ziploc bags. I'll wash my Ziploc bags out.
Porpoise, I don't know specifically about coffee, but yeah, for some people with ADHD, they actually give them stimulants, and it actually helps them sleep.
Yeah, that's the case with me. Coffee actually helps me sleep.
I use it to help get over brain fog in the morning.
And it helps you poop.
Yeah, it does. Helps you poop, helps you pee.
Were you saying something, Jenny?
Nope.
Yep. Yeah, Titan armadillo holes are not a problem we have up here, so.
And Sinister, I'm also an ex-Mormon, so yeah. My mom was a Mormon, and kind of got me into religion. Even though, it's funny, she was a Mormon, yet she drank sweet tea and coffee. Even though those are considered, really bad for Mormons.
And don't shoot a armadillo when small arms fire; or it can ricochet back at you.
Okay. April 6th was an asexual day?
Yeah.
I wish I had, I didn't see that one come up. I wish I'd been aware of that one.
Yeah.
Oh well.
International Asexuality Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, of everything in the queer community, asexual is the one I have the hardest time wrapping my head around because I've always been so hypersexual.
I'm asexual.
Yeah, it's like
too.
I can, get it on the level that, okay, that's what works for some people, but I just, I can't see that just going without sex just doesn't work for me.
I guess in this case, it's seeing what doesn't work, that doesn't work for us.
Well, see, okay. Asexual doesn't mean you don't have sex. Asexual just means you can have a relationship without having sex. It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't like having sex. It's just it's a really weird.
It is very confusing.
It's confusing. It just basically it just means you can live with or without sex. Sex isn't a big deal for you.
So basically, your sex drive is a resounding meh.
Exactly. Yeah.
I had found a term for mine, although I don't remember what it was, but yeah, basically for me it's just romantic love and sex don't have any particular link. I can have either one without the other. I mean, it's wonderful if you can find both from the same person, but I'll take either one on its own.
Mm-hmm.
It's like being bi with the switch turned off. You're equally not attracted to everyone. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. Sinister purpose is you can have sex, you just don't necessarily feel the need of it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel a need for sex.
Yeah, no, it's just that I'm so far off the opposite end of the spectrum. That's all I mean.
Because it's like me, I'm aro ace, aromantic asexual.
Same here.
I don't feel like having any romantic ties to anyone. It can happen. It's just it rarely does, and I can go without being romantic or without sex. It doesn't really bother me.
Yeah. It's much better when it happens accidentally.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
But of course, like with the romantic love, it's of course just the romantic love. Like I feel a strong love for my friends, for example, and family. Like it's just the romantic part that like it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I was told I did relationships backwards because
Okay.
the only relationships I had that could have been described as romantic started out with us having sex for 3 or 4 months before anything else developed.
That doesn't sound necessarily backwards. I don't know. You do you.
I'd be working the other way around on that.
I don't know. I don't get dating stuff.
No, and I didn't mean anything negative about it for anybody else. I mean, just you do whatever works for you.
It's
Hey,
a romantic. Yes, it's not a romantic. It's a romantic. Well, some of us do give off a pleasant smell. Hi, Ox.
Hi, Ox.
well, fresh tomatoes have a pleasant smell, right? So we're right back to our
Yeah.
original topic.
I actually have a tomato perfume. Makes you smell like tomatoes. Really good, actually.
I like the new profile pic, Ox.
Unfortunately, it only lasts for like 30 minutes before the smell goes away, but still.
Oh, yeah, there aren't many aromas I really have any kind of associations with. Just my sinuses have been bad all my life, so I've only got a handful of days out of the year I can actually smell anything.
Oh.
But there are a few things. My late fiance used to get these special hand dipped incense sticks, and there was a sandalwood one that was rather nice.
Let's see.
Yeah, I'll just chunk up a tomato and just eat it with just salt.
Yeah, I was saying mozzarella, little vinaigrette on there. It's really good.
Yep.
Cooked or
Well,
uncooked.
I also like to just like cut up cucumbers and tomatoes and just throw them in a thing of vinaigrette dressing and let them sit overnight before I eat it.
Nope.
You got to let them sit in the vinaigrette dressing for them to really get some flavor into them. Nothing better except most things, including a medium rare ribeye steak. George Carlin had a routine about that if you run out of deodorant, you go in the kitchen and you put a bay leaf under each arm. Doesn't stop you from perspiring, but you smell like soup. The tomato bowl? Okay, I have never had a cucumber sandwich, and other than cucumbers and bread, I don't know what you would put on it.
Mayonnaise. It's
Cucumber
mayonnaise.
sandwiches are awful.
It's just cucumber, mayonnaise, and bread.
I've had cucumber soda before.
Ugh.
Actually, it's not that bad.
Yes,
Yeah,
I've seen that.
Yep. I've seen it several times on TV. I think it may be the first movie that won the Golden Turkey Award.
Puberty love.
What was that?
Puberty love. That was the song from Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, puberty love. Oh, God.
What?
movie. Oh, God, it's that
Okay, the
movie.
Tomato Bowl is a football game.
Then there's La Tomatina in Spain. You ever heard of that?
No,
Tomatina? Yeah.
No.
Tomatina.
I haven't.
Basically, it's where a lot of people pelt each other with tomatoes.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that one I've heard of.
People have actually drowned in that,
Ooh.
as well as received really bad head injuries because people would bring unripened tomatoes to it, which
Mm-hmm.
they pretty much outlawed that now. They say that you can't. They give them guidelines now, telling them only bring overripe tomatoes and make sure they aren't, too firm. And
Ace
Mhm.
gets a Sydney.
but people have actually drowned in tomato juice from that. Yeah.
From getting hit in the face too many times and inhaling it, I guess.
No. There's just so many tomatoes in the street that they get, suffocated by them and drown like you would drown in water. Only it's tomatoes and tomato juice. The juice
Mm,
off
I
of
mean-
the tomatoes that they threw.
It's certainly an interesting way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly a delicious way to go.
I can think of worse ways.
Yeah.
Drowning in food, I suppose, isn't that bad.
Yeah, except for the fact that most of the tomatoes they use are overripe or rotten.
Yep.
That kind of changes the scenario some.
Yeah, so it doesn't taste that good.
Yeah.
Well,
Ox, you lose me as soon as you say grits. I made them for my late fiance.
Oh,
She loved them,
gosh.
but I could never eat them myself.
Did you know that fried green tomatoes aren't usually made with unripened tomatoes? They actually use a certain type of tomato called a green zebra tomato to make them.
I know there are some varieties that are just stay green.
Yeah, green
I've grown-
zebras.
I've grown green zebra tomatoes. I'm not
They-
so sure about that.
They don't taste that great, but if you fry them, they're really good.
I'm not so sure about those. I've used them in stir fries and they taste fine.
No, I mean they don't taste that great raw. I mean they just don't have the same taste as a red or orange or yellow tomato. And also originally, tomatoes used to be the size of about a snow pea. The original tomatoes that were grown by the Aztecs, because the Aztecs were the first ones to actually cultivate tomatoes. Before that, they were wild currant tomatoes, which were, like I said, about the size of small snow peas. And then the Aztecs cultivated them and grew them and genetically modified them to the point where they were the size of, softballs.
I'm actually planning on growing something called spoon tomato.
The only grocery store tomatoes anymore that seem to have any flavor are the little grape tomatoes.
And I prefer Campari tomatoes. They're really good. They're Campari. And
I haven't seen that variety here.
there's also another variety called the Wild. What's the name of it? Wild Wonders.
Hey, Maya.
Wild Wonders are actually pretty easy to find. They're cherry and grape tomatoes mixed into one little package, and it's all kinds of like Sun Gold and
Sun golds are good.
Sun Golds. Even in the grocery store, Sun Golds are really good.
Hi Maya, hi Skits.
I'm currently
Because-
growing. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm currently growing Black Beauty tomatoes, and I've got some
Ooh.
Violet Jasper tomatoes going, and I just started some Ildies as well.
I would love to try some Cherokee purples. I heard those are really, really good.
And top things off, I got the Everglade tomatoes, which are one of my favorites for just picking off the plant and eating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what the variety is, but the ones that Sloth Girl really likes are the grape tomatoes that are just yellow.
Those are Sun Gold.
Okay.
Yeah, there's usually some. There are other ones that have that same thing, but it's usually a Sun Gold.
Usually, if you find them in the grocery store, they're sun gold.
Well, Ox, my fiance said that I made the grits really well. The texture of them bothers me. I can't get past the texture to eat them.
That's the same thing with me and mayonnaise, really, because the only reason I just don't like mayonnaise is because, or Miracle Whip, is because at least I think it's because when I was a kid I had it once and it made me really really sick because I think it was food poisoning.
Yeah.
And
Well,
ever since then I've had PTSD from it. And every single time I either taste it, smell it, it just makes me sick instantly.
That
yeah,
might do
that
it.
can happen to a lot of people. That just one episode when you're like 5 years old, and it's a food or a smell that you'll never be able to tolerate again.
And it's funny because I used to hate tomatoes because my dad would try to make me eat them with eat grocery store tomatoes with like a whole pluck ton of salt and pepper on it. And then I had to live with my grandparents on their farm one year, well, actually several years in a row during the summer. And basically, I was out with my grandma I was around 7 or 8, helping her pick tomatoes off the vines. And she was like, "You want to try one?" I'm like, "Dad makes me eat them, and I don't like them that much." She's like, "No, no, 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 no. These are, homegrown. They're completely different from those grocery store ones. Just
Very
eat one."
different.
It's like, "Just eat one right off the vine." I'm like, "Okay." Took a bite, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that is so good."
That is one of the things that spoiled me. Is that the one thing my dad really excelled at was his gardening. And that just all summer long we could just go out in the backyard and take the tomatoes right from the plants.
That reminds me, the one that's really good is the chocolate striped tomato. Oh, it has such a great. It's like a candied tomato.
Yeah.
And by the way, the picture I have up here is the spoon tomatoes from Baker's Creek. If you're
Oh yeah.
interested in getting them,
They're also called teeny tiny tomatoes. They have those in sprinkles in the store.
I'm
Grocery
gonna
stores.
get going here.
Oh, okay, Jenny.
Okay.
Okay,
Good night, all. Good night, chat.
Good night.
Good
Night,
night.
Jenny.
yeah, I got a free package of them when I bought some stuff from Baker's Creek.
That's about the size they were whenever they were first cultivated by the Aztecs.
Yeah, I figured it'd be about that size.
Wild currants were about that small. They would literally pluck them off the vines and eat them as snacks.
Yeah, they're like berries.
Yeah.
They're a little bit. They're maybe a little bit smaller than the Everglade tomatoes. The Everglades are pretty small too.
But then, like I said, the Aztecs decided to try to cultivate them, and they would grow them bigger and bigger until they are about the same size they are now, except for they weren't red at the time. They were yellow. They were yellowish gold.
And the Illy tomatoes I mentioned are actually also yellow. And they kind of form a sort of like little tiny pear-shaped tomato.
Yeah.
Hey, Doc.
Hi.
And then Cortez decided to invade, and he took tomatoes to Europe, and
Yep. Yeah, that's
If
the
it
weird
were-
thing.
if it were
Everybody,
Cortez.
most Americans at least, when you say Italian food, the first thing to think of is like spaghetti with a red sauce or pizza. And it's like nobody in Italy ever saw a tomato before about 1580.
Yeah. It's actually kind of funny because if it weren't for Cortez, Italian cuisine and Spanish cuisine would be completely different.
Yeah.
Because if it weren't for Cortez, then the Italians probably wouldn't have got tomatoes until the 1800s, or until someone else decided to invade Mexico and.
Yeah, Slavka will just snack on the little grape tomatoes too. Which it's odd because she's allergic to almost every fruit you can name. But tomatoes are fine. It's like one of the few things she can actually get the vitamin C from.
No, that's a myth. That it wasn't because they're a member of the nightshade family. We already went over that though.
Yeah.
It's because of the way they ate them. They ate them with pewter silverware usually, and the pewter would leach out all the tomatoes.
Yeah.
The acid from the tomatoes would leach out all the lead into the tomatoes. It would absorb a lot of lead, and then they would get lead poisoning from it.
I don't know. I'm still wondering if it isn't because it's a lot of people in Europe, had allergies to them because they weren't used to them.
That's also a possibility because that's the whole reason shrimp and shellfish were banned in the Bible was because a lot of people would get sick because of allergies due to shellfish. Because shellfish is one of the biggest allergens that there is.
But what you're saying about the lead poisoning from the pewter, this is actually the reason that most of the royals in Europe were insane for hundreds of years.
Yeah, lead
Because,
poisoning.
well, especially the British nobles, because the tannic acid from the tea had the same effect if they were using the pewter teapots.
Yep. That's also the reason why pigs were considered bad in the Bible was because salmonella is a thing. Well, not salmonella, tube worms. Tube worms are a thing, and if you don't cook pig correctly, you can get tube worms.
Yeah.
And so they just decided, instead of teaching people how to actually cook it properly, we'll just fucking ban it because don't even bother telling them how to cook it.
Well, they may not have really understood that cooking it would kill the things off. They probably just saw too many chances of, 3 out of 4 times when somebody cooks pork, they get sick. So let's just not do that.
Yeah, true. That's the weird thing about, things in the Bible is that when it comes to restrictions on food, it was because of that specific reason, because they didn't know, cooking this will cause it, cooking at this specific temperature will cause the bacteria to spread. Cooking it at this temperature will kill the bacteria. Because, of course, they didn't know about bacteria then.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's the same thing with the shellfish.
With the way we actually clean food nowadays, most chicken is safe. You can actually eat chicken at lowered cooked temperatures and not get sick, but only certain chicken that's raised certain ways in certain factory farms because they raise it in such a way. Well, they clean it in such a way that there's virtually no bacteria on them to spread to begin with. I'm not gonna eat it raw myself because that sounds fucking disgusting, but you can actually eat duck completely raw without any chance of getting salmonella poisoning as well, which is really weird.
I saw a slice of flayed chicken in earlier today that would probably get this stream knocked off if I put a picture of it up.
Trichinosis. Pork parasite is a worm. Yeah, it's trichinosis. Yeah, sorry.
Let's just say you could just really eat out that chicken.
Oh, I love sucking on chicken. Oh, wait, what?
I had been reading a thing that there's a chicken that the meat is actually very dark when they cut it up. I don't remember what it was called, so you'll have to do an internet search on black cock.
Yeah, search black cock, everyone. It's a really, really good meat.
They tend to be very big too, so you want add big in there.
But it's hard to get down your throat, so I would really suggest practicing first.
I've never had that problem.
No gag reflex there.
Nope.
No gag reflex there either. I've never had a problem getting huge things down my throat.
Somewhere on the internet, there's a video of me doing the classic banana trick.
What's the banana trick? Is it like putting it far down?
Yeah, taking a whole banana down your throat and bringing it up again without breaking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's skill.
It works better if you use a green banana.
Yeah,
I imagine.
I've done it with a cucumber before. Does that count?
Which variety cucumber? Now I'm curious. The English cucumbers are kind of long and skinny, and the other ones we tend to get around here are much thicker.
The American ones that are probably like 1.5 inches thick.
Oh, with the little bumpies on it too, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like an organic French tickler.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Cucumber ribbed for you.
Rib for her pleasure.
Oh.
Well, not quite rib, but still.
Yeah.
Just make sure it's not the type that had little spiky bits coming off of it.
No, I
Yeah,
watched it all first. I watched it all first, so I didn't have that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the cucumbers, when they get too big, they do get those hard little spikes, and those can actually stick you.
Well, that's why you first peel it a little bit so it's nice and smooth.
Okay, everybody, take notes.
This will be on the test.
This will be on the. You will be tested later. You will be tested later. For every malady of every variety of disease.
We could actually switch this over to asexuality, because one thing is with asexuality that it doesn't mean that you hate sex. It just means that you don't want to have it. Like with me and Sumi, you can still enjoy sex jokes and stuff like that.
It's not that you don't want to have it. It's just it is not important.
Yeah.
Well, again, there's a separate spectrum there that it goes from those who are casual about it to those who are actually repulsed by sex.
Yeah, there's sex repulse. That's called sex repulse. That's a different thing.
Yeah, but I mean, it's on the asexual spectrum, and I have another friend who gets real uncomfortable if I make sex jokes around them.
Yeah, like I said, that's called sex repulse. That's not asexuality. That's a little bit further than asexuality on the spectrum.
And that should, of course, be respected too, if someone doesn't like it.
Yeah, you should respect it.
Yeah, I just have to keep it in mind. I'm so used to doing it that sometimes I get careless about it.
It happens.
Because I actually know someone who's sex repulsed, and you do have to be careful around them because it kind of trigger warning.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to set anybody off or send them back to a bad experience.
Exactly. PTSD is a real thing.
Of course.
And yes, you can have PTSD when it comes to sexual encounters.
Yeah.
Oh, most definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, Doc wants to know what do they call it when everyone is repulsed by my sex. I'm not touching that one.
Yeah, apparently nobody else is either.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Sinister. Good taste.
That's actually still milder than what came to my mind, so we'll let it go at that one. So Doc, you working tonight? Usually when Doc's in here, he's at work. Oh, and Sammy has crashed out on my leg again.
Oh.
Well, just as we were starting, we were having the argument over who got my lap, him or the keyboard.
Can't always win.
Except I couldn't start the stream without the keyboard.
Oh, yeah, true. Kind of need that keyboard.
Hey, Nerdy. For me, the answer of why am I awake at 5:30 a.m. is usually because I haven't got to bed yet. It's quite often I don't get to bed before sunrise.
Wait, what's this bed thing you keep talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I keep
Well,
on
you know,
people talking about it, but I never actually seen one.
well, see, I know people keep talking about the sleep thing, and I keep trying to do it, but I need someone to teach me how.
Exactly.
You know, but every night I go and I get horizontal in a dark room for hours, and I can't figure out how to do it.
Yeah, pretty much. Except whenever you're just sitting there watching something on TV and you just, for some reason, you just pass out for about 4 hours. And you wake up and wonder, what the hell? Why is it dark outside?
That happens to me sometimes. Actually, a lot if I'm watching TV. It's one of the reasons I don't watch a lot of TV, actually, because I usually don't know what it was that I was watching.
Yeah.
And with
usually what
streaming
happens.
services, I generally wake up with it playing something I'm coming in the middle of, and it's like I missed the 2 episodes before.
Yeah. Which is why I usually watch something that I've watched a million times before, like Star Trek, any Star Trek series. I will watch as background noise while I go to try to sleep.
Yeah. I've
Unless
been
it's
putting on YouTube playlists while I sleep, so I've got something to listen to, and some of them are history, some of them are science things, so I may actually learn something in the periods in between.
Oh, so you've gone the osmosis route. Okay.
Nerdy? Probably not information anybody wanted, but I don't have pants on.
What are pants? I've
They're
heard
the
this
things
word
that you have
before.
to put on quickly when somebody knocks on the door.
Skirt?
Okay. Yeah.
Skirt?
Dress go skinny.
I do prefer skirts, but I also have some good jeans. Jeans are quicker,
Mm.
and especially in cold weather.
No, skirts are much quicker. You just throw it on and that's it. Skirt. That's the whole point of the skirt is just you throw it on and that's it. It's
Yeah, but
skirt.
okay, you can't have bare skin exposed when it's below 0.
Who
So
says you
then I
can't?
have to wear leggings under the skirts.
Who says you can't?
Well, it's not a good idea. Your skin starts flaking off around here.
Oh.
It also doesn't feel nice.
Well, it rarely gets below 30 here, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
even
like,
in the
you know,
even in the 20s, I can wear just a normal skirt and be fine. Sure, my legs will be frozen solid, but it's comfortable.
Mm.
well, like end of December through the middle of January, we get several weeks in a row that the temperature will not go above 0.
Plus, I'm used to being shoved into a fridge, so
Yeah, right now it can't decide what it wants to do. It's jumping between being in the 60s and snowing on alternate days.
oh, and also never put your tomatoes in the fridge. We don't like that.
Oh? I thought like
Yeah.
anything else, if you kept them in the fridge, they keep longer.
They'll keep longer, but the taste kind of goes away. It causes the skin to become less firm, and it'll also sap flavor from tomatoes. So keeping them in the fridge is a bad idea.
I did not know that.
Mm.
Yeah, they taste a lot better if they're kept fresh on a countertop or something where it's nice and warm, or in the sunlight, or in any kind of light, really.
Okay. So that would taste better if they're kept at room temperature.
They aren't going
Much.
to last as long.
They don't last as long. That is true. They will not
Yeah.
last as long in room temperature, but they taste much better if they're kept at room temperature. So it's really dependent on how you're going to use them. If you're, say, using them in a stew or something, yeah, it's fine to put them in the fridge. But if you're using them in a light salad or a sandwich or something where you really want the flavor, you want to keep them room temperature. But if you keep them room temperature, you're going to have to use them really quick, like within 3 to 4 days. Otherwise, they'll go bad. They will go bad within 4 days of being on the counter.
Well, I know that the ones from the grocery store usually wind up being shipped when they're underripe.
Yeah.
So leaving them at room temperature for a couple of days helped them ripen.
Yep.
Found this one. It's a mutant tomato. This is Ken Newbrook, who's in the picture here, and he's been growing in tomatoes for 50 years and had never seen anything like this before.
We're evolving. We're evolving.
So he never saw anything like that until they built the nuclear power plant?
Apparently.
Oh, it's almost like meatwad. Look, it's almost like meatwad.
Yeah.
It's got the smile and everything.
I don't know. I was thinking it looked more like the Gorns from Fraggle Rock.
I'd say more like meatwad, like with the smile and everything, like creepy smile and everything.
Yeah, but meatwad didn't have a nose, so it's got a big round nose in the middle.
Yeah, true.
We have anyone here with trypophobia?
Me,
With a whatophobia?
tryptophobia.
Yeah. Fear of holes.
Tryptophobia is fear of, well, not just holes, but certain patterns that are holes.
Okay, I won't show this one tomato I found then.
Okay.
I'll look away. Don't worry, I'll look away. Just tell me when it's not on the screen anymore, because I had a serious problem with tryptophobia.
Oh.
It really creeps me out. It makes my skin crawl.
Alright, let me. Anyone in the chat have trouble with it?
Okay, well, you've given a fair warning, and we will announce when it's over.
Yeah,
Let's
you've
see
given
here.
fair warning.
It was very good of you to ask.
Yeah, thank you for asking. I can't.
Okay, I'll be putting it up now.
I take it this is something worse than a worm eating a hole through it.
They don't know what it is. Okay, it's going up now.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to enlarge it.
Alright. They don't know what that is. They can't figure out if it's a parasite, a fungus, or what.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
that
would have
doesn't
immediately thought
matter.
it was some kind of insect damage.
Yeah, I'm thinking insect damage by the look of it. The way it seems to be eaten around the side of it.
But that doesn't really bother me. That's not as
No.
bad as some things I've seen.
Well, the weird thing is it looks like it's got like a peach pit in the middle of it.
Yeah, that's what they're thinking, but they're not supposed to have that kind of thing.
Well,
Yeah. So did it get cross-fertilized with some other fruit?
No, I wouldn't have caused that.
that's what's called the strawberry tomato thing. There's other ones like that, only they're more riper than that, and they don't look as bad as that. I can't think. They said it was something to do with how much water the tomato got.
Nerdy says it's called the tomato stone.
So you've seen that before, tomato stone.
Well, I have seen a tomato, that when it was cut into, it had actually grown around a stone, so there was an actual rock inside it.
Oh, that's interesting. I'll take it off the page. There.
Huh.
Like this.
I'm trying to Google tomato stone, and I'm not finding anything on it. I mean, there's a variety called stone tomatoes, but that's not it.
And there's like this. If you look at my screen.
Yeah, that does look like it, except the one that I had up was like rotted.
Yeah, that does look like the same thing in the middle, though.
Like did it grow around or how did that happen?
That one's fake.
Yeah, so that's not fake though. That's real.
Oh, it's okay, nerdy. We've drifted off topic 3 or 4 times, but we come back to it. We're just looping around tonight.
Yeah, looping all the way around. But yeah, that's.
Yeah. It is very strange for this stream that we're more than an hour in and we're still talking about the original thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's that's that nightshade family. You know, the potatoes, tomatoes,
Eggplants, bell peppers.
eggplants. Yeah. And I bet those long eggplants you could use for the whole throat trick as well.
Aubergines are really good. I fucking love aubergines.
I've never cared for eggplant either. Probably because when vegetarians started, that was the thing that everybody went to right away was eggplant parmesan, and no, it just didn't work.
Is aubergine and eggplant the same thing? Someone mentioned aubergine and then you started talking about eggplant, so I was curious if it was the same thing.
Aubergine is eggplant. It's just a different name. It's just a different name. It's
Okay.
in England and anywhere else besides America, they call eggplants aubergine.
Okay.
It's weird because it's just like the whole pineapple thing, where everywhere else it's like ananas or any variation of anana.
Ananas in Swedish.
Anana.
Yeah.
Anana, yeah, it's pretty much anana everywhere else except for the U.S. where it's pineapple. Which kind of reminds me of the pineapple pen video for some reason. The apple pen?
Yeah, I've seen that.
I would be perfectly happy if nobody talked about cilantro, but...
And every time someone says, like, don't get your laurels in a bunch, I'm like, don't you tell me what to do with my yannies.
You know, the one thing that really frustrated me about eggplants was no matter how hard I tried, I could never hatch one.
Yeah, but just like whenever, speaking of eggs, just like when everyone asks, what came first, the chicken or the egg, I'm like, well, the chicken, no, because have you ever seen an egg come? I mean, come on. I've never heard of an egg coming before, so.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even as a kid, I had figured out that the egg had to come first because there were animals that laid eggs before there were chickens.
Yeah.
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 You know, I figured that out on my own when I was like 8 years old, and I was like, why does anybody think this is a problem?
Yeah.
I just assumed that adults just weren't that bright.
And I have a twist on a common joke too. And I have a twist on a common joke as well. Why did the chicken cross the Mobius strip?
To get to the same side.
To get back to where he started.
Ah.
Yeah, it's one of those anti-jokes.
Yeah.
Like, what's green and has wheels? Grass. I lied about the wheels.
Yeah, we had I had a family joke about that, but most people wouldn't understand it. About why did the chicken cross the road? Because Dave had to get the mail.
You know,
because my sister's husband, every time, the mailbox in the rural areas, they're all on one side of the road.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So every day when he went out to get the mail, 3 of the chickens would follow him.
You know, that's actually a really dark joke. You know that, right? The chicken crossing the road to get to the other side. That's a dark joke. Because if you actually think about it, whenever you cross a road, you risk the chance of getting run over.
Yeah.
And so the chicken getting to the other side means the chicken, dying.
Mhm.
I really
So,
don't know
yeah.
the origin of that joke.
Yeah, it had really dark origins in the fact that usually chickens across roads die because they get hit by a car. So get to the other side means to
Yeah.
die. A lot of people don't get that.
Well,
until
there's a lot of
you explain.
euphemisms about, death like that, about crossing over and such.
So yeah, there's that. There's actually some dark origins to that particular joke. A lot of people don't get it until it's explained to them. They're like, "Oh, damn, that's dark." Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm a nerd when it comes to origins of things.
Mm.
I just thought that was always interesting that get to the other side.
Are you familiar with John Solo's channel?
No, I am not.
Oh, his whole thing is the messed up origins of that. He goes into all sorts of like fairy tales and folk tales, and goes and finds the historical origins of all these nursery rhymes and things.
Like Peter Pan. Peter Pan, for instance, had really fucking dark origins. Whenever he would make them immortal, he would do so by killing them.
Well,
He
there's some
would not.
question on that.
He wouldn't let a kid survive past the time they were turned 17, and they would kill them before they turned 17.
Well, that one's a bit ambiguous as to whether that actually is true or not.
I know he did an episode on Peter Pan. I don't remember what John Solo said about it. And I will grant you that some of the things he's gotten into, his research doesn't quite fit with things I knew about it, but
Just like Overly Sarcastic Productions did a really good job on the Aztec myths. Only Red got a couple things wrong, but it's
Mhm.
forgivable because she had close. She was really close to being completely 100% accurate. She just got some of the names wrong, like Jipe Totek. Jipe Totek, she mistook for Tlaylock. That's one of the major problems. But
yeah,
other than that,
I like the stuff she does on the tropes of writing. I don't really pay much attention to the historical stuff she does.
I love her miscellaneous myths. I love her miscellaneous myths. It's an awesome series she has.
Yeah.
Well, mostly it's just that kind of history that's like more than 1,000 years back is just not an area that interested me a whole lot.
Well,
Mm.
Aztecs aren't but about not even 1,000.
Yeah, but a lot of the myths that they talk about are.
Only about 700 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, most of my interest in history is more like the last couple hundred years.
Oh, okay.
I also really like that channel.
Like I said, I really like the stuff she does on the tropes of writing. That's helped.
I loved her series on Journey to the West too. That was a really good series.
Yeah.
Because I loved reading Journey to the West when I was younger. It was one of my favorite stories. And yeah, just her rendition of explaining it is really good.
I've never read it myself.
Well, Journey to the West is also the reason I got into Dragon Ball to begin with, because Dragon Ball kind of was based on it, but not completely. It's
Mhm.
ambiguous, but it's pretty close to being it was what's the word inspired by it.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball is heavily inspired by Journey to the West, and it's a really good series. And Journey to the West, the book itself is a really good book. Just like the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, that's a really good series as well. It'd be nice if she got into the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. I would watch the hell out of that.
I don't know if they have a section where you can suggestions.
Oh, if they had a way I could suggest, I would definitely suggest that. Because I think I actually suggested that in one of my comments on her channel, but I don't know if she reads comments or not. Probably doesn't, because she gets millions of comments a day.
If they've got a community page, maybe they'd take suggestions through that.
Plus, they probably only take suggestions based on what they've actually read. And then there's Dante. Then there's Dante's Divine Comedy, which I fucking adore. Divine Comedy is one of the best literatures out there.
I think I have that someplace.
I've actually read Mein Kampf as well. It's really dry reading.
That I do have.
Yeah. One of the things I find strangely kind of amusing is that most Christians have no clue that the Bible really says nothing about hell, and almost all of that comes from Dante.
Yeah, The Bible literally says nothing about hell. There is no hell in the Bible. The only one that comes close is Sheol, from the Hebrew, the Torah.
Yeah, from the Torah.
But Sheol isn't actually in the Bible. The only thing that is actually mentioned in the Bible is Gehenna, but Gehenna was an actual physical location. It was a town where they would take dead bodies and burn them. That's where the gnashing of teeth come in, because sometimes the bodies would be alive. They would just be heavily diseased, so they'd take the bodies to burn it to make sure the disease doesn't spread. So the wailing and gnashing of teeth was from the fact that they were burning alive bodies. They were burning people alive. Because you know that scene in Monty Python where the guy's like, "Bring out your dead, bring out your dead." That was a thing that happened back then. They would actually have someone go around with a cart, carrying around asking people.
During the plague.
During the plague, they would ask people, to bring out your dead, so they could load them up on the cart, take them to Gehenna, and burn them.
You will be soon. But he's feeling much better.
No, the Bible doesn't speak of hell at all. I've read the Bible several times. It does not mention hell once.
Yeah, but even Sheol in the Torah was just, the land of the dead, but it didn't involve any of the, brimstone or torture or any of that stuff.
The land of the dead in Sheol is the thing with Jewish culture, they don't believe in heaven or hell. They believe that once you die, you go to Sheol, which is the land of the dead. It's just a resting place for weary souls. That's it. It's not heaven and it's not hell. You don't go to live with God and worship Him forever and ever and ever like the Christians believe. That's where your soul is. That's it.
Okay. Mel says the Bible speaks of heaven and hell.
It doesn't.
Okay, you'd have to tell me what part of the Bible so I could go and check that, because I don't recall it.
I have read the Bible around 7 times as a Mormon, ex-Mormon. It never mentions hell once.
I read the Bible, but it's been like 30 years for me since I read it.
It mentions heaven about once or twice, but not that many times, and it's not really specific on heaven, but it never mentions hell, not one time. Hell is extra biblical. It's not in the Bible. No, it doesn't, sweetie. It really doesn't. The Bible doesn't mention hell, not once.
Well, yeah, you'd have to tell me which book of the Bible references it, because I don't recall ever seeing it in there.
What verse? What verse does it mention that?
Yeah, I had an interesting experience with the Bible, because I grew up in a town that was like 85% Jewish. So when I was trying to read the Bible, 4 out of 5 people I was discussing it with had read it in Hebrew.
Just like how the Bible actually says in Galatians 5 that if you are circumcised, Jesus is of no worth to you. That you will not go to heaven if you are circumcised. That you will have to follow all 633 original commandments if you are circumcised. So circumcisions are actually anti-Christian.
Hey, anything that keeps me out of heaven, I'm for it.
And no, it doesn't, Mel. It does not mention hell. You're going to have to give us Bible passages, sweetie, to convince us otherwise.
We are asking for evidence against.
Well, that heaven is a logical impossibility. There is no version of heaven that my eldest brother and I could both exist in, that we could both be content without at least one of us having our mind completely wiped.
Lake of Fire is in Gehenna. I just talked about that. I literally was just talking about that. It's a physical location.
Well, that makes sense that the Lake of Fire would be where they were burning all the bodies.
Yeah, it's where they were burning bodies. They were literally burning alive people, well, live and dead people, to make sure that they weren't spreading any diseases. Because usually in Gehenna is where it was a repository for anyone who had diseases, who they would burn the body to get rid of any, contaminants.
Yeah, anything that might be spread to living people.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, that's why it mentions wailing and gnashing of teeth, because people were getting burned alive because they didn't want the disease to spread. They didn't want the plague to spread. You're talking to someone who is actually pretty decent on the Bible here. Like I said, I've read it about 7 or 8 times. I've read the Book of Mormon a sum total of 3 times.
Yeah.
I've read the Old Testament about 7 or 8 times. The New Testament about 5 or 6 times.
I was going to say it's Mormons and JWs seem to have them drilled into them much more than anyone else I've ever met.
Yeah, the Mormons, you're kind of forced to read it quite a few times. Oh, and also gay sex is mentioned a sum total of 1 time in the Old Testament, which the New Testament doesn't mention it once. So the whole gay hating thing, Jesus wasn't a fan of that. Jesus never mentioned anything about, gay people. So
yeah, there's a lot of stuff that Jesus never mentions.
Yeah.
A few things he even contradicts.
Yeah, a few things that Jesus contradicts in the Old Testament, because Jesus came and he got rid of the old law. He got rid of the 633 original commandments from the Old Testament, from the Torah. That's what it's known in Hebrew, at least.
Doesn't it say that I'm not here to change the law or something like? I don't know.
Yeah, he said that. Not to change the law, but fulfill it.
Yeah, well, and not just between the Old and the New Testament, but the different Gospels within the New Testament contradict each other.
Yeah, there's a lot of contradictions. There's actually that website, that the Bible Contradictions one, where it lists every single contradiction, and it's, oh god, it's just a spider web, basically. Because sometimes they would contradict it in the next sentence. The very next sentence would contradict the first sentence. It's like, what the fuck? And exactly, Aunt Jer. Our modern conception of hell comes from Dante's Inferno, not the Bible, because the Bible never mentions hell. It mentions, like I said, it mentions Sheol, which is the land of the dead, which comes from Babylonian texts, but it's stolen primarily from Babylonia, from the Canaanite religion, which Canaanite, again, the Canaanites had several gods. Gog, Magog, there was also Baal, Eli, and also what was his name? They were the Elohim, and Yahweh was one of the Elohim of the Canaanites. That's the one the Jews stole from the Canaanites to create their god, Yahweh, which is the God of the Bible. Your God is a stolen God. The Christian God is stolen from the Canaanite religion. He was the god of metallurgy in Canaanite. And also in Babylonian myths, he was considered a coward god.
Have you heard the one where he was basically tricked by other gods to think he's the only god that existed?
Yeah, that was in Babylonian myth. He was a coward. He was jealous. He was extremely, extremely stupid and gullible. And the Babylonian gods tricked him into thinking he was the only god and that he was the one that created all mankind. And yeah, it's actually kind of funny.
I didn't know the part about he was tricked into believing he was the only one, but that kind of makes more sense of a lot of it.
Yeah, like I said, it's the Christians stole him from the Canaanite religions and created a religion based around solely him. That's the reason why the very first commandment says, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me," because he was a jealous God and he was a coward.
Yeah,
Christianity
that's the other
bullshit.
thing about the whole Bible
Christianity's
thing is,
bullshit.
yeah, that even if I were to accept that everything in the Bible was accurate, why would anybody worship this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he is a very petty, vindictive individual. Oh well. I have to step away from a moment, so maybe pick a new topic while I'm gone.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm actually really versed in. Like I said, it all comes back from Babylonian myth to Canaanite myth, to because it originated in Babylon, and then it kind of evolved into Canaanite religion, which it became more popularized with the Canaanites whenever they created the Elohim, which are I believe the 7 or 8 gods. I can't remember if it was 7 or 8. But yeah, Yahweh was the Canaanite god of metallurgy. He was a coward. He was vindictive, jealous, stupid, quite gullible. And for some reason, the Jews accepted him as their god and wrote a whole religion based on the Canaanite god Yahweh. Because God, quote unquote, God is not a name, it is a title.
And
The Canaanite god name that happened to end up becoming the Christian God's name is Yahweh.
didn't he have a wife as well?
Asherah, yes. Her name was Asherah, and there is still a sect of Jews that follow Asherah, which Asherah's teachings aren't copacetic with Catholicism. In other words, the Catholics pretty much disavow her completely. And no, Mel, I'm actually quite well versed in the Bible. And it's she, not he. Thank you very much. There's all the evidence that Yahweh was a Canaanite god.
You're one of those now.
Oh, gods.
Well, maybe we should find another topic here.
Yeah. It's a very derisive topic.
Okay, I just had one final question on that topic. If he had been the god of metallurgy, why was it that people with iron chariots were the only thing that could defeat him? Shouldn't he have been the one making the iron chariots?
It's a good question. It's a good point.
I was thinking about that.
Okay.
But no, he was the god of metallurgy in the Canaanite pantheon.
All right. Well, maybe here's a joke. What do you get when you cross human DNA with goat DNA?
Satyr?
Kicked out of the petting zoo.
Okay, man. I've heard from several people that it was, but I will not claim to have a lot of information on that other than what I've heard secondhand. So
And I've heard all the evidence that points towards him being the Canaanite god of metallurgy. I have looked up a lot of that in history. It's basically most Bible scholars will admit that Yahweh was the god of metallurgy in Canaanite pantheon. And yeah, if your only proof of saying that hell is in the Bible is you saying hell is in the Bible, that's not proof. That is not proof.
Mm-hmm.
Not proof.
that's all right. Well, let's go on to something else. But I timed him out for that misgendering comment.
Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. No, it was an okay topic. I'm just
Yeah, it was Mel
talking to
that
somebody that I have stopped from commenting. So, you know what? They're just timed out. If they can come back and behave themselves, that'll be fine. If they start stirring something up again, then I'm just going to boot them.
Yeah, it was Mel that turned it bad, not you, Sumi.
Yep.
Yeah, no need to apologize.
Yeah, the one thing I'm not going to put up with in here is anybody misgendering somebody intentionally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Gog, Magog, Eli, Eli.
So, other than tomatoes, what's your favorite vegetable?
Clara, what is yours?
I don't think I have a favorite vegetable, but I like a lot of vegetables, like tomatoes and I.
Well, tomatoes aren't vegetables; they're fruits.
Yeah.
Well, isn't fruit actually technically a subset of vegetables?
No, they aren't. They're completely different.
Well, no, because a fruit is just the seed-bearing part of a plant. And isn't a vegetable just any edible part of a plant?
Fruits come from the flower plant they grow on. Okay, it says fruits. I just Googled it. Although we use these edible plants in a certain way in the kitchen, their botanical makeup classifies them differently. Fruits come from the flower of the plant they grow on. If the produce develops from other parts of the plant besides the flower, it's considered a vegetable. Fruits contain seeds. Vegetables do not. So they're completely different. Two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, like I said, the definition I had was just that a fruit was just the part of the plant that held the seeds.
No, fruits develop from the flower.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Well, yeah, that's always the case because that's always where the seeds are made.
And vegetables pretty much grow anywhere else.
Yeah,
the
vegetables, any other part of the plant that you would eat.
Like a potato or a carrot or broccoli.
Well, potatoes, carrots, and radishes are tubers because they grow on the root.
But they're considered vegetables because they grow from a different part of the plant than the seeds.
Yep, and then there's different groupings of vegetables based on if you're eating the leaves or the stalks.
Yeah, like lettuce is considered different than, say, corn, for instance.
Yeah,
Because it's
I
so
agree
leafy
with
part.
Ontur. Let's just stick with the way they're used in the kitchen. The botanical definitions can get pretty confusing.
But I'm a fruit, not a vegetable.
I suppose technically a strawberry wouldn't be counted as a fruit.
Yeah, a strawberry isn't a fruit. Strawberry is a vegetable. Botanically speaking.
Yeah.
Just like a strawberry isn't a berry, but a tomato is a berry.
Yeah.
Yep.
A cherry isn't a berry. Because a cherry has a pit.
A pineapple is technically not one fruit.
A pineapple's
It's
a berry.
actually a grouping of a lot of different a lot of fruits together.
A pineapple is considered a berry. A pineapple is literally considered a berry.
Yeah. A sunflower is actually not just one flower, it's actually many tiny flowers.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And a tomato is essentially an ovary. Literally, it's an ovary. A tomato is an ovary.
You want to come back?
It's really weird. Plants are weird. Plants are weird.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not so much that the plants are weird. It's that it took us so long to figure them out that we had a lot of things screwed up and we had to do a lot of retconning to make sense of it.
Like I said, strawberries aren't berries, but pineapples are berries. Grapes aren't berries.
Yes,
But
Doc, you're not wrong. Flowers are the plant's genitalia.
Yeah, flowers are plant genitals.
Hmm?
Well, no,
that's-
it's the parts that inside the flowers that are the genitals. It's not the flowers themselves. It's the stem and the what you call it? Oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it right now.
The stamen.
It's the inside the oh god, I can't remember the name of the thing.
Stamen.
Yeah, the
Stamen.
stamen's the male
Stamen.
part. I
Yeah.
forget what the female part was called.
And like, it's not just plants that are weird. Like organisms in general are weird. Like just biology is weird.
Biology is weird. Yes, biology is weird.
Okay, well, Doc, I would dispute you on that because at the Walker Art Center there's a rather large sculpture garden.
Yeah. Botanical gardens, it was kind of an awesome, it's kind of redundant. It's like the ATM machine or a hot water heater. I can't stand it when someone says hot water heater because why would you heat hot water? It's already fucking hot. The water's already hot. You don't need to heat hot water.
Actually, what's even worse are the propane heaters. Heating that stuff is dangerous.
Yeah, heating propane is very dangerous.
Oh, and the female part of the plant is just ovary.
Oh, it is just ovary.
Oh, it's just ovary? Okay, yeah. Then yeah, tomatoes are ovaries.
Yes, and the pollen is just basically plant splooge.
Yeah, it's semen. Yeah.
Yep.
It's just a bunch of semen. You know, like FTFE is the semen. Wait.
Yeah, so if you have an allergy and it's making you sneeze, it's because you've been sucking plant sperm into your lungs.
Yeah.
I did not consent to this.
You just keep on sucking up that plant sperm, that plant semen. So whenever your car gets covered in pollen, it's just covered in. Oh god.
Yep.
It's the money shot from the plant porno.
Oh, it's the money shot. Yeah. Because no, the pollen around where I live gets really so bad that you will see cars completely covered in pollen.
My car gets that way with the oak
Oh
tree.
yeah, at certain times of the year, I see that here.
It's just completely yellow with pollen. And I'm like, god damn.
TV Tube says that when you send flowers to the one you love, it's a dick pic.
Yeah. When you send flowers, yeah.
Well, there are male and female flowers. It depends on the flower, I guess. And then there's the hermaphrodite ones that have both.
Yeah, there are hermaphroditic plants. Well, most plants are hermaphroditic. They have both the stamen and the ovary in the same flower. It's just
A
they
lot of
can't
times they don't
self-pollinate.
actually grow on the same plant, though. That you will have male and female plants
Yeah,
that have to cross pollinate.
yeah,
And actually, I thought that was the case with tomatoes. Actually,
No,
yeah.
they're
There are
self-pollinating.
they self-pollinate. Tomatoes
okay.
can self-pollinate. Though it's better well, not botanically if you cross-pollinate tomatoes. But if you cross-pollinate them, you end up with hybrids, which will end up completely different from the parent plants.
That's for if you were to take the seeds from the thing and plant them.
Yeah, like say if you try to cross-pollinate a sun gold tomato with say a brandywine, let's say, you'll end up with completely different plants. Which
Yeah. Again, if that's only if you plant the seeds from those. The tomatoes that you grow off of the plant is going to still be a sun gold or brandywine, even
yeah,
if it's cross pollinated.
okay.
I think it may have been strawberries. There was one plant that it was brought back to England from North America, and they were trying to cultivate it, and for years they couldn't figure out why. And it turned out that they had brought back all female plants, so they didn't have a male one to pollinate them.
Mm.
Oh god. Yeah, that's the problem with pollination. It like strawberries, for instance, like you said, they have male and female plants. So if you never know if you're going to get a male or a female plant if you're like say buying them in the store or something. So yeah, there's always that might happen. And just like the whole the Terminator seed thing that I heard about with GMO, that's not a thing. They don't use Terminator seeds much because
I never quite understood how those would work.
No,
What's terminated seeds?
Terminator seeds, they're the ones that if you try to grow another plant from the say seed group that like say a tomato. Well, we'll just go with tomatoes. If they had Terminator seeds in the tomatoes, the seeds are infertile essentially. In other words, they just will not grow plants from, which they can't do. They can't make Terminator seeds. They can't actually make it so the seeds are infertile. Which is why the whole Terminator seeds thing.
You do get seeds from a lot of hybrid produce that if you plant it, it will grow a plant, but it'll never grow fruit.
Yeah. I mean, that's, yeah. But.
Yeah, I tried that at one time, trying to grow acorn squash from squash that I bought at the grocery store, and it's like the entire yard got taken over by vines, but I never got anything on them.
Oh. Wait, squash? Wait, the squash grow from the flower?
Yes.
So squash are fruit then?
Yep.
Yeah, the squash itself is a fruit.
Fried squash is, oh my god.
Yeah, because it's got the seeds inside of it.
I love fried squash.
Oh, acorn squash is probably my favorite vegetable.
Yellow squash. Yellow. It's got to be yellow all the way down. I tried the white squash before. It just has no flavor to it. The summer squash, I think.
Yeah.
No, not summer. No, it might be summer squash. I can't remember.
Yeah, no, the summer squash I don't care for, and the spaghetti squash is just too stringy. I don't like that texture.
I like the Seminole
it's only
pumpkins.
the autumn squash that I like.
I like the yellow squash myself.
I like the Seminole pumpkins. Those are pretty good.
Well, squash are just types of pumpkins.
Well, yeah, it's a squash.
Yeah, a pumpkin is a squash.
Yeah, a pumpkin is a type of squash, rather. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the Seminole pumpkins? What's different about those?
Oh, it's a rather heat tolerant variety.
Okay, so we probably don't see them around here.
Tends to be better for growing in areas where you have a lot of pests because they'll root themselves as they go along.
Yeah. And they'll kill vines.
Yeah.
Of course,
Around
they'll
here, it gets
also
pretty
take
cold
over.
by the time the fall squash comes in.
Of course, you'll also have to worry about the vines that they produce, but you don't have to worry about the other vines.
That was almost a pun.
Almost. Everything is vine. Okay? Everything is vine.
Only if you have a German accent.
Everything is
Everything is vine. Everything is vine. Vine, 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 vine.
That was a terrible joke, but I laughed anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's after midnight, so you're going to laugh at anything at this hour, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, and it's technically after midnight here too.
It's technically after midnight everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
If you really think about it, everywhere is after midnight. Just like everywhere is after Labor Day. Even the day before Labor Day is after Labor Day. Because it's the previous Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Previous year's Labor Day.
I always consider the new day starts at sunrise, so when I say after midnight, it's like it's between midnight and sunrise.
Well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Although, I always thought very strange that they called it midnight because it's not in the middle of the night, it's like the start of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 o'clock is midnight, technically.
Yeah,
It's around 3 o'clock, it's around midnight.
yeah.
Oh, and on the strawberry thing, the flowers do have both male and female parts.
Okay, so it wasn't strawberries. I forget what it was.
Just like in Wicca, 3 o'clock is the witching hour because it's the time between daylight and it's the exact time between day and night. It's 3 o'clock.
That depends on how far north or south you are.
Well, yeah, true, but in most areas close to the equator, 3 o'clock
Yep.
is closer to the equator is it's 3 o'clock. It's the exact neutral time between light and dark. And
Yeah.
it's the time of night whenever the spirit world is at its most connected with the physical realm, according to Wiccans.
Yeah.
I don't believe this myself. I'm just saying what Wiccans believe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, it makes more sense that it would be, actually in the middle of the night.
It is. It's a doorway. It's what they call it. It's a doorway.
Although the saying that it's always darkest before the dawn actually is true.
Yeah, and just
because there's often a period where the moon has set before the sun has risen, so then there's no light for a little while.
Yeah, just don't be like that flurp and start chasing down the moon. That's. I lost the moon. Where'd the moon go?
Was he serious? Was that not yet a pose? Was that like a serious person?
He was serious. He lost the moon. He was serious about that because he chased down the moon for, I think he said like 5 or 6 hours trying to find the moon. Driving through the city trying to find the goddamn moon.
That's more of a problem for flat Earth and globe.
I'm just wondering if when we get people back to the moon, if the tardigrades will have taken over. Well, they've survived everything else.
Yeah, tardigrades can survive the surface of the goddamn sun, so...
Well, I don't know if they go quite that far.
I know, it's being kind of hyperbolic there, but...
Although they did take tardigrades up on the ISS and found out that they could actually survive the vacuum of space.
Yeah, tardigrades can survive the vacuum of space.
Yeah, they actually put them in a little cage and they floated it outside the space station for a while. And when they brought them back in, they were still able to revive them.
Oh, did you know they're trying to grow tomatoes in microgravity now?
Yeah. I've heard they tried to grow something in microgravity.
Yeah, it's tomatoes right now. They're currently trying to grow tomatoes in microgravity in order to test, one, how they actually grow in microgravity, see how big the fruit are, how they have to use artificial lighting in order to make them grow upright, because otherwise they'd be
Yeah.
confused as hell because they don't know where
Yeah.
the sun is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they use artificial lighting as well as, like I said, microgravity. So they to determine how tall the plants will grow, for one. Two, the psychological impact of the people aboard the ISS being able to eat, fresh produce.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
that's been a big thing. If they're talking about sending people to Mars, they need to
Yeah.
be able to actually grow food on the journey because it's going to take them several months to get there.
3 months. I think it was 3 months. From
Yeah,
what it said.
I had heard the shortest time possible is between 3 and 4 months, but that's a window
Yeah.
that only occurs like once every 2 years or something.
Yeah, because you have to launch at the exact right angle. You have to leave Earth's orbit at the exact right time in order to be able to slingshot yourself to Mars. Blah, blah,
Yep.
blah, blah, blah. And yeah, they would have to literally slingshot around Earth to get to Mars.
Hmm.
So they would actually have to launch into orbit of Earth, go around, make sure the periapsis and the apoapsis is at the right altitudes, and then slingshot themselves using Earth's gravity to be able to propel themselves towards Mars without using as much fuel as possible,
Hmm.
or as little fuel as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the problem with the space launch is the fuel itself is extra weight, which means you
Yep.
need more fuel just to get it up there.
Yep. So if
Mhm.
you use Earth's gravity to slingshot, you use less fuel, which means it's less weight, which means it's easier to launch.
Yep.
And it's cheaper. So they have to wait till the exact right moment in order to do that, and it's kind of hard to do that.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
if you
I think that they are still trying to bring the cost of launching things into orbit down below $10,000 a gram.
a gram, 10,000 a gram, which means it costs multi-million dollars to launch into orbit still.
Yeah, putting a human up there is really expensive.
Hell, putting equipment up there is super expensive.
Yep.
Well, looking it up, it looks like the ones they're growing are the red robin tomatoes in the ISS.
Yep.
Or,
Because I heard they already and they are getting fruit. I don't know if they're getting fruit yet or not. I can't recall.
yeah, I'm actually looking at a picture of it.
Oh
That
yeah, that's
was,
right. Because he was juggling. Yeah, he was juggling tomatoes on the ISS, wasn't he? That one astronaut.
That was one of the experiments that was on the Israeli space probe that crashed with the tardigrades.
Yeah.
Is it also had some cotton seeds on board to see if those would grow on the moon.
Hmm.
But
Not in the moon's soil. They were still going to be within a
Hmm.
container on the lander,
Yeah.
but just to see
Yeah.
if they would grow in the moon's low gravity.
There's a picture I found.
Oh,
The
nice.
tomatoes are growing.
Yeah.
And they
Because-
maximize.
Cool.
Notice how that red lighting they're using is to maximize the light while minimizing anything
Yeah.
it's not really using. It looks weird, but actually it's a very efficient light.
Yeah,
Well,
grow
yeah.
lights. The grow lights.
Was that from the space station or was it from?
Yeah, that's
That's
from the
on
space
the
station.
ISS. That's on the
Mhm.
ISS. Yeah.
Yeah. The lighting's because plants need a different
Spectrum of
part
light.
of the spectrum than what we see visually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just maximizing its efficiency.
That and because they grow towards the light, so yeah, it makes sense to have them.
I heard that's important for growing pot, that you need to gradually raise the lights up because they'll grow up
Yep.
toward the light, and if the lights are too low, they bush out instead of growing up.
Yeah. Well, that's with any plant. That's pretty much with any plant. But yeah, I find it fascinating that they're actually growing tomatoes in space now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty chill.
So there's more than one space tomato?
Yep, there's more than one space tomato.
Mm-hmm. And we love them all.
Oh.
Yeah, this is actually a project from last
You're
year.
just their leader. You're just here to set things up so they can take over, huh?
We're not trying to take over. No, we would never do that. We love you.
I mean, saying that you love us doesn't necessarily mean that you won't try to also take over.
Love us with salt and pepper, huh?
Yes. I mean, no.
No, I'm just envisioning that when we make contact with aliens, they're going to laugh about the idea of them taking over, because Earth is just where they've been dumping all their failed genetic experiments.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know that? Wait. I mean, no, I didn't say anything.
Actually,
No,
it's a
no.
good
The real reason we haven't made contact is the Galactic Alliance has this whole system under quarantine until we can learn to stop blowing each other up.
That's a good.
Well, I mean, if we're willing to kill members of our own species, how can anyone else feel safe coming down here?
I find it rather unlikely that that any aliens would want to eat us. We might not even be compatible with them, their ability to eat us.
Yeah, the biochemistry would be very different. It's like that
Plus-
mammoth meatball they made that they're afraid to eat because they don't even know how the proteins on that would react in the human system.
Well, see, oxygen is a poison. It's a toxin. So you're literally breathing in toxins. You have to survive on toxins. Like, what the fuck? The fuck is that? You
Yes.
literally breathe in
Oxygen
toxins.
in a high enough concentration is hallucinogenic.
Yeah. You actually breathe in more nitrogen than you do oxygen.
Yep.
All life needs nitrogen to live. all carbon forms of life needs nitrogen to live. Which is why nitrogenated soil is actually really good for plants. Nitrogen is one of the best things you can put in soil to grow plants with.
Well, that's also why rotating crops is important.
Yeah.
Because some plants will fix nitrogen into the soil, whereas most plants will just deplete the
Absorb
nitrogen.
it. Yeah.
Depends.
Also, calcium is good for the soil as well. That's why a lot of people crush up egg shells to put it in fertilizer.
Well, yeah, also why fish meal or bone meal is commonly put in fertilizer.
Yeah.
The eggshells depends on how. If you powderize it, it may have some effect. But if you just crush up the egg and put it in, it's not going to do anything.
Well, yeah, you gotta powderize it. I mean,
So they really need to be pulverized very fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to powderize it.
And basically, it will make the soil more alkaline.
Yeah.
So then the eggshells, they don't really dissolve in the compost, or what?
It takes a very long time for them to break down. I've had compost that's 5 years old with still eggshell in it.
Huh.
That's why you put it in a food processor first and get it to a fine powder.
Well, I would have just assumed that there were, different types of insects that would break it down for you.
Nope. It's basically like, it's just calcium carbonate mostly.
Yeah.
And also, eggshells, I believe, with its high alkalinity, is a good pest repellent as well. A good natural pest repellent. Because of the high alkalinity, it would cause insects to dry up really quick whenever they exposed to it. Like, what type of soil is it called?
Diatomaceous earth or something.
Diatomaceous earth. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, the diatomaceous earth is what we used when our cats had a flea infestation. It was very good for getting rid of the fleas.
It's good for everything.
That's mostly more for the. It's basically the diatomaceous earth is like sharp. It'll cut them.
Well, it
What?
will cut them, but also,
Dry them out.
yeah, it's the silica packets that they put in things to keep them dry are often diatomaceous earth
Sure.
because for the little bit that they use, it can absorb quite a lot of moisture.
Yeah.
So
diatomaceous
in an
absorbs a
insect,
lot.
yes, it does actually puncture the exoskeleton, but it also dehydrates them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, if you're going to be using a nitrogen fixing plant, you want to turn the plant back into the soil before it goes to seed.
I thought that legumes were a good nitrogen fixer, that you could harvest the beans and
Nope. No, the nitrogen will be used in the beans.
Oh, will it? I thought you could get a harvest off of them and then just till the vines under or whatever.
Nope.
Oh.
And the nitrogen fixing part is actually a bacteria. It's being attracted to the roots. It's actually doing it.
Which is why it's easier just to buy those little post things that you put in the plant in the soil. Then where it gets wet, it spreads out and re-nitrogenates the soil.
Well, most of the time, you actually don't need to worry about it at all.
If you want bigger, bolder fruits, you really want more nitrogen in your soil, though.
Well, you're telling me I had a significant misunderstanding of medieval farming.
Well, like really, you actually don't. In most cases, you actually don't need to worry. It's more when you're growing in containers that you really have to worry about fertilizing and nitrogen fixing and all that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I was always told that
a good, well balanced soil in your garden or raised bed should be able to take care of itself.
Like I said, I was always just told that it's higher nitrogen gives you better fruits. Will get you better.
You can actually also have too much nitrogen as well.
Yeah. Well, you have to have it pH balanced just right.
Yeah, nitrogen will raise the pH or lower pH.
Lower pH, yeah. Because like my granddad, whenever he was a gardener, he would actually take his soil to there was a college nearby, Clemson College, that they had a agricultural thing.
Yep.
And they would test the soil. They would actually test the soil for him for free.
Yeah, that's when I was living in Michigan. We did that. That we sent soil samples into the University of Michigan, and they sent us back the results.
Yeah, and they told you, exactly what to do to get the pH balance just right for specific plants.
If you do need to add some nitrogen immediately, a good source is rainwater, because the nitrogen and the nitrate in the rainwater is already bioavailable to the plants.
Yeah.
Especially if you get one after a storm, because the lightning storms will actually cause more nitrogen in the rainwater.
Yeah, TV Tube. I'm afraid it's true that your breathing is an environmental hazard.
Yep, it is. But I suck in carbon dioxide and provide you oxygen. So,
Well, see, it has to be balanced though.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have enough animals taking in the oxygen and giving you the carbon dioxide back, the plants don't grow.
But if you don't have enough plants taking in the carbon dioxide and providing oxygen, the animals won't grow. Well, they literally will die.
Yeah.
Which is why a lot of people were afraid about the bees disappearing, because the cross-pollination and everything with bees. Because bees are the biggest pollinators.
Yep.
But not the only ones.
Not the only ones. No, they're not the only pollinators, because wind is actually a good pollinator as well.
No, not just there's
wind.
many other insects besides bees that pollinate.
Yeah,
wasps, for instance, will actually act as a pollinator.
Yeah, wasps, yellow jackets are pretty good too.
Mm-hmm. Well,
they're a type of wasp, but still.
No, yellow jackets don't need to exist.
No, they don't. They really don't. I had a friend who cut lawns for a living.
Yep.
And he discovered that one person's yard that he was getting paid to mow had a huge yellow jacket nest right
Yep.
below the surface. He discovered this in a very auspicious way. He ran over
Ooh.
them. He ran over them.
Yeah, well, in all of the work that I did on decks and outdoor structures, I found plenty of those, and yeah,
Not
yellow
fun.
jackets are just the asshole of the hornet world.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they are. They really are. Because they don't give a fuck. They just sting on command. They just like, it's like, no, just stay away from me.
I feel like we should have Bree in here to defend the yellow jacket.
Yellow jackets are assholes. Fuck yellow jackets. They have no right to exist.
I don't know what.
They must do something unique as opposed to other hornets, but I don't know what.
They don't.
Well,
They generally don't. But seriously, yellow jackets don't do a goddamn thing. Except for maybe eat mosquitoes. That's about it. They eat mosquitoes.
Okay, see, I didn't know they eat mosquitoes. That's something in their favor.
mhm.
They do eat mosquitoes, but at the same time, they'll sting your ass.
Yellow jackets are pollinators and may also be considered beneficial because they eat beetle grubs, flies, and other harmful pests. And they also are scavengers.
You will
We
never get
meet.
me to. You will never get me to like a yellow jacket. No, no.
Oh, yes, that's
Sorry.
true. They are scavengers. They do help with decomposing dead animals.
No, you still can't get me to like yellow jackets. No.
So they're predators, pollinators, and help break down stuff.
Yeah, I still don't think they're necessary. I think there are other things that'll do their jobs if they're not here.
That aren't assholes about it.
Yep.
I remember I thought you threw something at me. I had like a wrapper on my shoulder. I grabbed it. It opened my hand. It was a yellow jacket, and it stung me 8 times in my hand.
Oh God.
And the
Now, I
teacher
remember-
wouldn't send me to the nurse's office.
They wouldn't.
Yeah.
Nope.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a good thing that I don't react much to wasp or bee stings, because I have had occasions I've been stung several dozen times in a single day.
I go into anaphylactic shock when I get stung. So yeah.
So does
Wow.
Sloth Girl. If she doesn't have the EpiPen, a bee sting can kill her.
A bee sting could kill me. A simple bee sting.
Though interesting enough. Go ahead.
Because I went to the reason we found out, I got stung by a bee one time. Well, I've got stung by a bee plenty of times, but when I was a kid, and I literally went to anaphylactic shock, and they had to rush me to the hospital for a bee sting on the forehead.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I was doing a deck one time, and there turned out to be like 4 or 5 wasp nests that I had to take out of it. And I got stung like 24 times, but on me they weren't any worse than mosquito bites.
Just like how they figured out I was allergic to mustard was because there was a little bit of mustard in my hamburger that I was eating when I was about 6 years old, and my throat swelled up.
Yeah.
Swelled up like a fucking bullfrog, and they had to rush me to the hospital because they had to jab a damn tube down my throat.
Yeah, one of my daughters had an episode at school because apparently somebody in the kitchen was careless with cross-contamination, and she was allergic to peanuts.
Oh, God.
So she knew to avoid them, but somehow some of it had gotten into what they were serving, and she had anaphylactic shock, and she passed out at the lunch table.
Yeah.
Scary.
Well, with mustard, it didn't make me pass out. It just made my throat swell up really bad until it was, like I said, the size of a football going from my chin to my chest.
Yeah, but when you can't breathe, you're going to panic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, interestingly enough, I've been surrounded by bees and stuff in my garden. Never been stung once.
Yeah, like I said, I've been stung quite a lot, but fortunately I
Well,
didn't react to them.
Certain types of bees won't sting you unless they feel threatened. And
Yeah,
I'm
but when
surrounded
you're
by all
trying
sorts
to
of bees.
remove their hive, they tend to feel threatened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll do it.
that'll do it.
You know, and like I
Mhm.
say,
Just
I
like
did
wasps.
40 years of home repair and renovation work, so I was often in the position of having to remove such things.
Have you seen the
Just-
guy with? Have you seen the guy with the swarm of bees? He's around his arm because he's holding the queen in the palm of his hand.
Oh yeah, I've seen a couple of things like that.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. No, I saw
There's a
dude
Guinness
that's
Book of
completely
Record
covered.
about, you know, the person who had a beard made of the most bees.
Oh yeah, the beard, the bee beard.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and
Oh
you know how
god.
many tens of thousands of bees he had on.
And he didn't get stung by a single one of them. Like what the?
And there's a bee in Australia that doesn't have a stinger.
How does that work?
They protect their hive by essentially encasing the intruder and
Oh.
cooking them.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
Actually, I found that's how Japanese honeybees deal with the murder hornets too. That they'll just, you know, they'll all glob around the much larger murder hornets, and they'll keep beating their wings to raise the temperature 2 degrees because they can handle a higher temperature than the hornets can.
Yeah, basically the
Huh.
same method.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah, unfortunately, North American bees don't know that trick.
They just know to sting something.
Yep.
And unfortunately, murder wasps don't care about getting stung. One single bit.
Well, their stingers can't go through the exoskeleton.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
They just don't care. It's like,
Yep, they have effective armor against that.
yeah. And also, whenever a bee stings you, there's a 90% chance it's gonna die because whenever it pulls out, away from the whatever it stung,
Yeah.
most of the time it pulls out the stinger, which pulls out their guts.
Well, that's the main difference between a bee and a wasp. Is generally a bee can only sting once. A wasp can
Yeah.
sting several times.
Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes that they do get the stinger out successfully without pulling out their guts, but most of the time it pulls the guts out.
Yeah, because the stinger's barbed, so usually it gets caught on the skin and they can't pull it back.
Yeah. Well, it's getting late here. It's about 2 o'clock, and I'm about to pass out.
Well, I was going to say, we've been here about 2.5 hours, so I was thinking we should wrap it up about now.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Does anybody have anything they want to plug before we go?
Yeah, NASA Bunker 33 is going to be coming back this Saturday, hopefully. And we're going to be talking about the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, as well as Seven Mountains Dominionism, and how the evangelicals are trying to take over the world. Yay.
Okay.
And you can find that at, like I said, NASA Bunker 33.
Yeah, Mage, I saw that you had a short out today, but I didn't get a chance to look at it yet.
Shout out.
No, I'm sorry. That wasn't your channel. That was a different garden channel. Sorry.
You can find that here.
Yeah, I got
Shameless plug.
my channel Gardens Happen. I'll probably be doing my garden tour this Tuesday. It was a bit noisy when I was trying to film, and I had a pupper trying to pull on their leash when I was trying to focus on things. So I'm gonna have to do some editing.
Yeah, it's hard working with animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's starting to get over me going outside without her, though. She didn't bark and whimper this time when I went to feed the chickens. So that's good.
She's getting used to the idea that you won't be gone too long.
Yeah.
Well, she's going to have abandonment issues, that's bound.
Oh yeah, I'm expecting that.
Yeah, she just has to get used to your routine that you go out for a while, you come back.
Mm-hmm. And I'm starting a new thing with her of putting her in the crate. You might have the bird out. Speaking about noises, what's that?
Yeah. We still have that problem with Petunia to this day. Anytime we move a piece of furniture, she thinks we're moving out and she panics that she's going to be left behind.
Oh.
Hmm.
Oh, fortunately, it turns out Molly is crate trained, so it made it a whole lot easier.
Oh, yes, that does make it easier.
And I took her food and water bowl and put it in the crate when I set it up, so she has basically her own little space there.
Yeah, as long as she gets out in time to do her pee.
Oh, I take her for walks at least 3 times a day.
Yep.
I'm not keeping her in the crate all the time. I have the door open except for when I have the bird out, and I just close her in then.
Yeah.
So it's not like
No, I figured you weren't keeping her in there, except when you weren't in.
Hmm.
Yeah, when we had a dog, she got crafty and she kept extending the route of our walk. So,
Hmm.
without my realizing it, by the time that my ex put me out, we were doing a loop that was over 1.5 miles twice a day.
Hmm.
Of course, it was also great because she was really easy to get back if she got out. I mean, if you tried to chase her, you'd never catch her. But all I had to do was go out and sit on the front sidewalk with the leash, and she'd come right up to me because she wanted to go to the park.
Hmm.
yeah. I'm also trying to
What
get her used to her harness instead of carrying her on a leash. She doesn't pull quite as much on the harness.
Yeah, a harness is much better than a collar for them.
Yeah, especially with a little dog like her, where it could do damage to the neck.
Yeah, well, for any dog or cat, if you're going to put them on a leash, you need to get a harness. I would not put a leash on them with just a collar. It's too much chance of them injuring themselves.
I only use the collar occasionally for short things. If I just need a quick thing, but I do I try and get the harness if I can.
Yeah. Okay, well,
Right.
yeah, I don't have anything particular coming up, just our regular stuff next week again. Wednesdays at noon and Thursdays at 10 p.m. Central.
Hmm.
And the Shills have moved their regular show from Saturday nights to Friday nights, so I try to get in there Friday at 6 whenever I can, but that's a more difficult time, so I haven't been making it too often.
Yeah.
So with that, I just want to thank all my sponsors, all the people who help me keep things going here. Southern Cell, Vonrek, Robert X, Lavender Lady, Kitty, Skits Crasher, Greg Hartwick. Appreciate you all, helping me keep things going here and helping me pay for this so it's not all out of my pocket. And with that, then, we will bid you all a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Hug your loved ones.